These are 14 of the most hated players in the NFL right now. Before we get to it, guys, if you are new to the channel, it's a brand new channel, so please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. And without further ado, number 14, Jalen Ramsey, a former top 5 pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was just traded to the Los Angeles Rams, and he definitely has the right to be on this list because he loves to be hated. We've seen multiple interviews with Jalen Ramsey where he would call out the wide receivers and the players that he's about to face, and he's notorious for saying things like Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't belong in the NFL's top 100 list and giving a NFL Mount Rushmore that only featured him. Literally, he's quoted to say, "My Mount Rushmore is just me with 4 different facial expressions." And then there was that time where he went to GQ magazine and literally called out quarterback by quarterback and said who's good and who's not. For example, on Josh Allen, he had this to say: "I think Josh Allen is trash. I don't care what nobody say. He's trash, and it's gonna show too. That's a stupid draft pick to me. We play them this year, and I'm excited as hell. I hope he's their starting quarterback. He played at Wyoming, and if you look at his games against big schools, it was always hella interceptions, hella turnovers. It's like, yo, if you're this good, why couldn't you do better? He fits that mold. He's a big, tall quarterback. Big arms, supposedly. I don't see it personally." And then he had this to say about Joe Flacco: "Just being honest about it, Joe Flacco sucks. I played him 2 years in a row, and he sucks." Bro, he wouldn't hold back. He on Eli Manning, he said, "It's all Odell Beckham. I won't say Eli's good. I'll say Odell is good." On Ben Roethlisberger, he said he's decent at best, and it's not Big Ben, it's Antonio Brown that makes him good. On Andrew Luck, he said, "I don't think he's really that good." Pretty much you could see why so many people dislike Jalen Ramsey, because he went ahead and just talked trash about practically everybody in the NFL. Number 13 is Richard Sherman, who's an amazing player with a strong personality, who's notorious for being a physical defensive back that loves to talk trash, but always consistently gets burnt because he's a physical and big cornerback, and he typically can't keep up with other wide receivers when it comes to a foot race. Which isn't to say that he's a bad cornerback, it's just to say that he's good at one thing and not good at another, which catches him getting exposed from time to time. Believe me, when Richard Sherman had a touchdown thrown on him in the Super Bowl, it didn't take us very long to create a meme on him. Number 12 is Jameis Winston, and the reason why people don't like Jameis Winston is because he displays one part of his personality in front of the cameras, but once the cameras shut off, he seems like a completely different person. We've seen off the field issues with Jameis Winston, allegations about sexual assault with Jameis Winston as well. That just makes him a very unlikable guy. Couple that with the fact that he's very turnover prone, and he was a former number 1 overall pick, and you get the reason why so many people dislike him. But at this moment, there's a good chance that Jameis Winston will get re-signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and continue his career. Number 11 is Ben Roethlisberger, and Ben Roethlisberger has never been a warm and fuzzy figure for fans to rally around. He's served a suspension for sexual assault allegations as well, and has appeared to have some very cold relationships with some of his teammates on the Pittsburgh Steelers offense throughout the years, most notably Antonio Brown. There's a whole video on the Antonio Brown Ben Roethlisberger beef, and SB Nation did it. I highly recommend you check it out. You'll come to realize how petty both Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown were, which is really sad because they're both so talented and they made some phenomenal plays with one another. Number 10 is Kareem Hunt, who had an outstanding rookie year for the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2017, which made me draft him over Alvin Kamara in the 2018 season in my fantasy football league. And it was shaping to be just as fruitful until a video of Kareem Hunt assaulting a woman at a hotel was leaked. Following the video leak, the Chiefs released him immediately. He then signed with the Cleveland Browns, and in the offseason that garnered a lot of hype, but I suppose the Chiefs got the last laugh, and Kareem Hunt's really kicking himself because he missed out on a Super Bowl. Number 9 is Odell Beckham Jr., and you either love Odell Beckham for his passion for the game or hate him because he comes off as a prototypical diva wide receiver. OBJ's talent is undeniable, but when things don't go his way or the rest of the team is performing at a subpar level, he can't keep his composure and he'll typically lash out. He hasn't gotten to the Antonio Brown levels of crazy behavior, but he tends to be in the news for more than just his play, which is never endearing to the fans. This past season, he was more notable for wearing expensive watches to games than than his play on the field. And this is after an offseason of generating tremendous hype for the Cleveland Browns and his reunion with Jarvis Landry. Number 8 is Ezekiel Elliott, and Zeke might have every box checked for what it takes to be a hated NFL player. For one, he plays for the most hated team in the NFL, which is the Dallas Cowboys. He's extremely talented, but he was suspended for violating the personal conduct policy. He held out of training camp for a new contract, and maybe the most egregious violation of all was attacking this man when he was at EDC, when he was drunk as heck. That guy let things go, but just doesn't make him seem like the most likable of human beings. But I think the main reason why so many people dislike Zeke is he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and whenever he gets a first down, he does this feed me motion, which of course would get underneath the skin of anyone that's trying to tackle this guy. Number 7 is Cam Newton, and the reason why people would dislike Cam Newton would have to be because of his 2016 campaign where he made the dab a consistent touchdown celebration. But on top of that, in his lone appearance in a Super Bowl, Cam Newton appeared to have given up on a play that involved a live ball at his feet, and he didn't even bother to try and recover. And after that Super Bowl loss, Cam Newton pouted during the post-game press conferences and showed to millions of people all over the world that he's a sore loser. The level of respect fans have had for Newton has never been the same after that Super Bowl defeat, and it's really a shame because we even hear from his ex-wide receivers that they didn't really like him as well, people like Kelvin Benjamin. Number 6 is Baker Mayfield. There's a lot to be said for someone that made it onto this list after only being in the NFL for 2 years. Baker comes off as a cocky young quarterback on a very talented team, but the only problem is his cockiness hasn't resulted in enough wins to validate his mouth or attitude. If Baker keeps talking more than he's winning, he could stay an NFL villain for the rest of his career. Nobody likes a big mouth that can back it up, but if you do back it up, I'm sure you could get away with it. Baker had probably the most loaded team I've ever seen in the NFL this past season, and sure, you could place the blame on his coach Freddie Kitchens, but when you have Odell Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and a first-round tight end and a decent offensive line and 2 really good running backs and very good defense, you have Sheldon Richardson, Demarius Randall, not to mention they traded for Olivier Vernon, and this all results in a subpar season that gets your general manager that took a chance on you fired. Yeah, of course, people aren't gonna like you. And more recently, all this stuff has been coming out on social media about the way he treats women, and that's not a good look. Number 5 is Tom Brady, and of course, this could be kind of more of a respectful hatred because I personally hate Tom Brady, but in a, oh my god, he's gonna dominate us, he's so good type of way. Tom Brady has 6 Super Bowl rings in 9 appearances, has been linked to a couple of cheating scandals over his 2-decade career, and is married to a supermodel. The Tom Brady hate is understandable, even if some of it almost certainly comes out of jealousy. I guess you could say my hatred is more jealousy because, again, he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, NFL player of all time. Let us know in the comment section down below. Is Tom Brady the GOAT? And if not, who is? Number 4 has to be Richie Incognito, who is most known in the NFL for bullying a former Miami Dolphins teammate. His name is Jonathan Martin, and it got to the point where Jonathan Martin had to leave the team. Incognito also harassed other players and team personnel, and he's been known to play dirty during games. He's even been arrested at a funeral home after threatening the staff, and Incognito is whatever the opposite of the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year is. He's currently playing guard for the Oakland Raiders, and he actually has had some interesting moments on HBO's Hard Knocks this past year. I highly recommend you check it out. Number 3 has to be Ndamukong Suh, and Ndamukong Suh came into the league as a player with a reputation of being dominant and aggressive, but over time that dominant aggression ended up turning into a cheap shot artist who just would do whatever it takes to win. Suh has been fined numerous amounts of times for his on-field indiscretions, which includes stepping on opponents and kicking them. His dirty plays have subsided to a certain degree over the years, but his dirty play still pops up every once in a while. Number 2 has to be Vonte Burfict. We're talking about a guy who's notorious for his helmet-to-helmet hits, aiming for opponents' heads, and having no regards for players' safety. He has been fined millions of dollars over the years and has been suspended for the remainder of the 2019 season for, well, guess what? Another dirty hit. it. His last stint was with the Oakland Raiders, and we'll just see what's going to end up happening to him. I bet you he still gets another job in the NFL because, again, he's dirty, but he's very, very aggressive. And number one, and a lot of you guys might not agree with this because he's not in the league anymore, has to be Antonio Brown. We could make our own video on Antonio Brown. He has all the talent in the world, but has burned so many bridges with his teams that he may have played his last down in the NFL. His antics off the field, such as getting frostbitten feet, helmet issues, sexual abuse allegations, and social media meltdowns, have spurned even his most ardent supporters. Lately, he's been trying to apologize to Ben Roethlisberger and apologize to all of his organizations, but honestly, he's been behaving so erratically, I can't imagine him getting another chance in the NFL. Now, let me know in the comment section if there's any person that I forgot on this list, if there's anyone I neglected at all. Besides that, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more content. I'm your boy Mikerophone. I'll catch you guys later.